All right. All right. Good afternoon, my friends. Good evening, and more. So, there's much going on. And I'm tuning. Almost tuned. All right. Resilience comes from the reassertion of our humanity, and we do it in song. And there is a, hi everybody, there is a song that I didn't remember to download, but it's a video. I will show it at another time. It's a video of Bethany getting arrested in front of the State Department's office called FERC, F-E-R-C, which is the entity that grants pipeline permits. And they had a demonstration there to, and then she was arrested. And the demonstration was called Pancakes, Not Pipelines. And there was a friend of hers who had a maple grove, and there was no permit granted yet, and they came in with automatic weapons to this maple orchard and leveled it, and because that's where the pipeline was going to be going. And alas, they cut them down. And the woman who was there was a family orchard that had existed for generations. And she came and she said, "We're going to serve you pancakes with the remaining," because there were some remaining trees that in the orchard, which is and as the employees at the State Department's office of FERC that granted the permits, they said, "We're going to return this indignity with love, and here are pancakes." And of course the workers said, "Look, we're just doing our job," etc., etc. Well, the point was that this woman was devastated. The pipelines were carrying natural gas, and they were. It was as if there was no recourse for this woman. But the thing about FERC is that it is funded by the monies that it collects for granting these permits, so it is disinclined to turn down an application. And this is all in the climate movement. So after they made this demonstration, and Josh Fox, who started the anti-fracking movement really with his film Gasland, and Tim DeChristopher was 2 years in the in federal prison for having picketed a gathering that was objecting to an illegal sale of lands near Canyonlands in Arches National Park, and then went in and he was asked, "Do you want to bid?" And he took the paddle, and then he didn't have any money, but he bid $1,200,000, and I told the story the other night. It's too long. But in any event, there is Bethany, and you will see the video another time, and she's singing a song to reassert our humanity, our dignity, our values, our point of view in the midst of this craziness. And it's a powerful image. So here it is, reasserting who we are, what we believe in, that is humane. No, you're not going to cut down these maple trees. No, you're not going to cut through Native American sacred sites. No, you're not going to bring that gas to the ocean. So we'll have more of fracking. We shall not be moved. We shall not be moved, just like a tree that's standing by the water. We shall not be moved. The Union is behind us. We shall not be moved. The Union is behind us. We shall not be moved, just like a tree that's standing by the water. We shall not be moved. We're black and white together. We shall not be moved. We're black and white together. We shall not be moved, just like a tree that's standing by the water. We shall not be moved. We're marching for our children. We shall not be moved. We're marching for our children. We shall not be moved, just like a tree that's standing by the water. We shall not be moved. Now you sing it with me. We shall not. We shall not. We shall not be moved. We shall not. We shall not. We shall not be moved, just like a tree that's standing by the wall. So this was a song when I visited Pete Seeger in the hospital on the day that he passed. That was the first song I sang to him. I stood at the foot of his bed because I know that this was about the essence of what Pete was teaching, to use music to stand up for what we believe in that is humane and caring. And he says, no more poison fracking, we shall not be moved. No more poison fossil fuels, we shall not be moved. It's like a tree. And this used to be a song that would be sung in the union movement while people were picketing. And now, here I was singing to Pete with his family around and the Clearwater sloop singers around, and everybody gathered around and singing it with determination. And if ever there was a song for the reassertion of our humanity, this is certainly it. And It's an old, old song, but it says, like a tree standing by the water, we shall not be moved. We're marching for the future, we shall not be moved. We're marching for our children's future, we shall not be moved. Just like a tree that's standing by the water, we shall not be, we shall not, we shall with me, we shall not be moved, we shall not, we shall not be moved. Just like a tree that's standing by the water, we shall not be moved. We are gay and straight together, we shall not be moved. We're gay and straight together, we shall not be moved. Just like a tree that's standing by the water, we shall not be. I'll sing the harmony now and you do the melody. We shall not be moved. We shall not be moved. It's like a tree that's standing by the water. We shall not be, we shall not be. And there was Bethany in her handcuffs, where about 6 of them had sat down in a place and were told they had to move. They didn't, and so they one by one, Bethany was the last, they put them in handcuffs and marched them off, and Bethany had her hands behind her and she was moving ahead singing, we shall not. It was an unbelievable moment. And, I think I can play it for you. Hang on, in my strange way here that's remarkable. I'm going to play you this little video because this is the assertion of who we are and what we care about in our humanity sometimes takes the form of demonstrating, and as with Peter, Paul, and Mary, getting arrested together. So this is Bethany getting arrested on my, let me see. Okay. Let me see, this is, okay, music to his songs, 2 names. I'll get it. Let's see. I'm not finding it for some reason, but I know it's here. I really want to show it to you, obviously. I wouldn't be taking all this time. What could it be? No, it's Keep On Keeping On. Music to review, songs. Save photos, conference call. I'm going to take another 20 seconds and then because this is crazy. Oh, here we are. All right, you were hiding. This is so... Okay, here it is. Okay, here it is.
That's right. We're inviting employees from FERC to please come and sit down and have some maple syrup and some, because it's the last. Especially Commissioner Bay, Commissioner Clark, Commissioner Honorable, so-called Honorable.
I'm going to take this right out. First, that's Bethany singing.
We shall not be moved. We're singing for the voiceless. We shall not be moved, just like the tree that's standing by the water. We shall not be moved. We shall not be. We shall not be moved. There are a million more. There are a
Million more in us, we shall not be moved. A million more of us, we shall not be moved. It's like a tree that's standing by the water. We shall not be moved. Stop your singing, we shall not be moved. Stop your singing. We shall not be moved. We shall not. We You know, they're going to handcuff Bethany. I just watched my amazing daughter. Like the ones that came before us. There she is. That's my daughter. All right. You get that. All right. So there it is. It's just amazing. And I could not be more proud of my daughter. And so we're singing. There I was singing to Pete Seeger. No more poison fossil fuels, we shall not be moved. But there, you see, in real time, in real life, somebody's saying we are reasserting our humanity, what we care about. And they're doing it in the most powerful way with love. They're saying here, and here are the pancakes. And to me, it's extraordinary. And so that's one part of what we're doing. And it has been one part of people taking action and saying, business as usual cannot go on. Like after the killings at Kent State, we have to stop believing that we can normalize this kind of thing when students are shot by the National Guard. When that happened in 1970, 900 some campuses were shut down by the campuses themselves. Said, we will not continue, we're just going to have teach-ins. And that was not, they were not putting fire bombs and blazing tires up. They were saying, we have to stop and think what we care about, what we're doing. By the way, let me just open the door because open the window. It's getting a little hot in here for some reason. And I need to make it less so. Now you may say, oh, well, what difference does it make if they're singing or not? Well, if they're singing together in that circumstance, it's like a prayer for making the world a better place. It's not. They're not entertaining each other. This is not singing, Blue Bayou together or Willie, some pop song. And in doing so, they are asserting their unanimity of spirit. And that's what music can do in situations when people need to stand together in that kind of way. And you can see Valentina, she was a lot younger then. That was probably about 4 or 5 years ago. And now she's 13, so she would have been, probably 9 years old or so. So that's one thing we do. Another thing, how do we, with music, reassert our humanity, our caring, our compassion? Well, we can, one fun way is to sing, and people there used to do this at concerts, we'd sing this song written by Anne Feeney, and it says, was it Cesar Chavez or Rosa Parks that day? Some say Dr. King or Gandhi that set them on their way. No matter who your mentors are, it's pretty plain to see that if you've been to jail for justice, you're in good company. Have you been to jail for justice? I want to shake your hand, 'cause sitting in and lying down are ways to take a stand. Have you sung a song for freedom or marched the picket line? Have you been to jail for justice? Then you're a friend of mine. You law-abiding citizens, come listen to this song. Laws were made by people, and people can be wrong. Once unions were against the law, but slavery was fine. Women were denied the vote. Women were denied the vote. And children worked the mines. The more you study history, the less you can deny it. A rotten law stays on the books till folks with guts defy it. I said, folks with guts defy it. Have you been to jail for justice? I want to shake your hand, 'cause sitting in and lying down are ways to take a stand. Have you sung a song for freedom or marched the picket line? Have you been to jail for justice? Then you're a friend of mine. Now the law's supposed to serve us, and so are the police. But when the system fails, it's up to us to speak our piece. We must be ever vigilant for justice to prevail. So get courage from your convictions, let them haul you off to jail. Have you been to jail for justice? I want to shake your hand, 'cause sitting in and lying down are ways to take a stand. Have you sung a song for freedom or marched the picket line? Have you been to jail for justice? Then you're a friend of mine. Have you been to jail for justice? Have you been to jail for justice? Have you been to jail for justice? Then you're a friend of mine. So that's one way to assert. Another, a whole other world to assert is to find a way to use music to bring us together in unanimity of spirit, so that we feel that we belong to each other, so that we feel that we are committed to the same premise, to create justice where there was less and to conquer injustice where it exists. And so this coming together in this way is not activist in that sense. It is more a way of saying, let us find inside ourselves a language of humanity. That I'm deliberately moving that up, Samir. I want it to be higher, so I'm just going to do that. So I'll take this, and then I'll bring it back up. Okay, there we go, because that's where I want it now. All right, now, let me just find my pick. All right, here we go. So this is a song that I wrote recently, in the last very few years, since the last election, to assert our humanity, to assert what we care about each other. And this one, I actually finished it writing when I was in Mexico recovering from pericarditis. And it was insistent upon me that we had to do this. So we had to find a language to say, this is what we believe in. It was my hope that this was going to be, this was actually prior to the election, I was going to suggest that it be sung at the Democratic National Convention, although it would have been great to sing it at both conventions. But it says, lift us up, make our stand, let love triumph in our land. Lift us up, make us strong, sing it. Make us strong, give us courage, give us courage to right the wrong, to right the wrong. America, our hopes and dreams, they are truly all at stake. Let not the hate divide us, let not our spirit break, let not our courage falter, let not our bravery fail, let unity bring victory, let love prevail. Lift us up, make our stand, make our stand. Let love triumph, let love triumph in our land, in our land. Now say the words with me, lift us up. Lift us up, make our stand, make our stand. Let love triumph, let love triumph in our land, in our land, in our land. Lift us up again, lift us up, make us strong, make us strong. Give us courage to right the wrong. There is no invocation of one side or another in this song. There's essentially a non-partisan, non-party politics song. It says, America, our hopes and dreams are at stake. Let not the hate divide us. Let not our courage be broken. Let us stand together. And the idea of saying we have to stand together is a statement of saying we will not be divided by prejudice, by hatred, by stereotypes, by saying I'm going to reject this person because they are a particular color, they are a particular race, because they have no money, because they're homeless, because they're on the street, because they're gay, because they're lesbian, because they're an immigrant. I'm not going to do them because they are a Republican or because they are a Democrat. We're going to say we are human beings together. We must not be, let not our spirit break. Let not our courage falter. Let not our bravery fail. This is a song that calls for us to stand together as human beings and let our humanity resonate. And this is a different kind of call to our ethic, our call to our integrity, and at this point it's a call to our democracy for survival. Because when we are divided artificially, because we believe these stereotypes and we think we have to hate each other, we need a force. We need a force that's going to bring us together. And what is that force? The force is our humanity, and expressing our humanity in singing when our hearts are open allows people to say, we are together, I feel this. Now, there is an entity called Braver Angels that was called Better Angels that is doing this. It is not saying one way or another is the right way. It's not about changing people's minds in terms of what they stand for in terms of a political perspective or a political party. It is about granting to somebody else, beyond one's prejudice, beyond one's preconception and the stereotypical view that has been handed one, or the compelling words of somebody in the media who is saying terrible things about the other side to make one despise them. Well, it's about saying, see each other as human beings, learn, as we have been able to do in the United States, that we can very deeply differ with one another, but not excoriate, not humiliate, not demean one another. And more than that, this organization, once it's broken down, these kinds of preconceptions, it actually brings people together in small groups of maybe, well, it has different kinds of workshops. It's called Braver Angels, braverangels.com. It used to be called Better Angels. Now, this organization is having a song competition, but the song competition is to write songs about transcending our differences, about walking in each other's shoes, about getting beyond the conventional ways that we've been taught that we can presumably just assert one thing and just not listen. No, right now, it's as much a question of just being able to be human about one another. Now, there's a virtue to that, which goes beyond just destroying the kind of vitriol and hatred and mean-spiritedness and cruelty and the inability of people to talk to each other. That in and of itself. But that's dayenu. That would be enough. But there's another reason to do this. Now I want to play, and I'm going to call Samir to alert him to the fact that this is a song that was written by an extraordinary musician, an extraordinary humanitarian, who wrote a song that takes this whole idea of humanizing each other, to a whole other level. It goes beyond standing up for what we think is right, whatever side we're on. It goes to the idea of something extremely difficult. This person, who I hope is watching now, is one of the really, really extraordinary songwriters and musicians, and I met him at the Kerrville Folk Festival, which we both have attended for many years, I since 1972, except for the year when my mother, Vera Yara, was in a hospice, and then I couldn't go. But, and that was a very good thing that I did to not go. And every year I've been there on my birthday, which is coming up soon, but I won't be there, but we will virtually have, I send a song from these programs. I sent a song of me singing No Easy Walk to Freedom, which I did a few nights ago. And I can give you a website to see it. But now I want to call Samir, and I want you to hear this song because I just heard it yesterday and I flipped out. And Tom Prasada Rao sent me this tape and this video, and I am going to take my own voice, and he can use that, and probably others as well. This song, if ever there was a song that epitomized the intentions of better angels, now braver angels, and it takes bravery to do this song does it. So Samir, let me call you. Please call Samir. And
calling Samir.
Okay. There we are. Let me see. It's ringing. Samir, it's time to change it. It's time to change it to the song that we downloaded. Okay, thank you. And I am so proud to be able to present this to you. I am so thrilled at this song.
To the woman at the rally in Nashville, Tennessee last weekend, holding up the sign that said, "Sacrifice the weak." This is for you. You hold up your protest sign. It feels like the end of times. It's looking tough tonight in the land of the free. It's right on my Facebook feed, all there for the world to read. And my heart starts to bleed, so this is for me. Whoever
Whoever you are, whatever you've done, it's nothing that you can't overcome. Whatever it is that you're going through, even so, even now, even you, the world makes us enemies. That's not who you are to me. And I will still believe that we could be friends. I'm sure that you're struggling now. You know I am too, and how. So let's make a simple vow. It's not how this ends. Whoever you are, whatever you've done, it's nothing that you can't overcome. Whatever it is you're still going through, even so, even now, even you, when it's impossible to right the wrong, there's still a refuge where we both belong, and wherever that is, we'll make it through. Even so, even now, even you, even so, even me, even you. I hope this finds you.
It's an extraordinary song. As I don't know if you caught this, but he opened up Facebook and he saw a woman holding a sign that read, "Sacrifice the Weak, Reopen Tennessee." And I mean, if that doesn't echo from a fascistic kind of intention, how can you respond to that with outrage, with fury, aghast? How could somebody say that? Your grandmother is weak, the children are weak, sacrifice them. Sacrifice the people that are less perfect. Let's have it. No, that's not what he said. He said something that echoes the Rumi poem that says, "We will make in a place in the fields out beyond right and wrong. Somewhere there is a place for us to be friends." Somehow he's loving this person and saying, I have not lost my capacity to love not what you've done or what you're saying, but the sanctity of our humanity. Forgiveness is the huge. That's what happened in the truth and reconciliation efforts between Hutu and Tutsi, where there were genocides, where people cut each other's neighbors apart with machetes, bloodbaths, and ultimately there was the recognition, there was truth, there was reconciliation and forgiveness. This is so hard to imagine. It is not actually what Braver Angels asks us to do. It is taking it to an extraordinary place of the depth of our souls. And when I was talking to Tom earlier, I said, the Dalai Lama has said this in his song, in his poem that I put to music. I was engaged to do this and met the Dalai Lama, and I put this and I changed some things that needed to be changed in order for it to take a song form. But it was in this song, it says, his words are, love all people, love all strangers, love even your enemies. If you love everyone that way, they will join you to work for peace. What he's saying is what Martin Luther King said, that hate does not drive out hate. Only love does that. In this song, you can see Tom, his heart is breaking. He's been pushed to the level of his capacity to retreat into a spiritual place, to be able to say, whatever you've done, we can make it together. This is a prayer of love. This is the reassertion of our humanity through song. And this is a song that I wrote essentially with the Dalai Lama. Never give up, no matter the pain and sorrow. Never give up, you'll find your tomorrow. Compassionate heart, it will lead you, your loving heart. It will free you to never give up, never give up. Never give up, no matter the pain and sorrow. Never give up, you'll find your tomorrow. Compassionate heart, it will lead you, your loving heart. It will lead you. Never give up, never give up. Love everyone, love all strangers, love even your enemy. Love everyone, and everyone will join you to work for peace, to work for peace. the pain and sorrow, never give up. You'll find your tomorrow, compassionate heart. It will lead you, your loving heart. It will free you to never give up. Never give up. Never give up. So, there is something so intensely sacred that it echoes some of the great moments of the pain of loving in that way. It is like in the Christian faith, seeing the suffering for humankind, and we must suffer with pain when we see harm done or cruelty. But somehow, if you turn that into love, which is what Tom Prasada Rao did in this, he takes on the burden of the suffering. And there is a parallel also in Judaism too, the just men who carry the weight of the world on their shoulders voluntarily. Even if asked, can I lighten your load? They say, no, this is mine to carry. Because they are... Now this is not terribly pragmatic stuff right now, and it's not meant to be. What it is it's... I'll get to the vernacular analogs to what I'm talking about, and I will do that. But I don't... and I have them, and I'm going to sing them to you. But for right now, I want to stick for a moment with this, because this is so powerful. A place of being that is... Look, sometimes on these mini concerts, I'm not going to be very entertaining. I'm just going to kind of delve into perhaps the deepest part of the kinds of considerations and contemplations that we must make or can make when we are looking for answers about who we are and what we are in a more profound sense. And that is the case now while I pick up my pick from the floor. So here's a song that I have sung before. I sang it with Bethany one night, and I think I may have sung it another night. And it was written by Jimmy Driftwood. And it's about somebody who is like Tom Prasada Rao. Tom is not writing a song about something, he is living it. You can tell that when he lives this. He is with great... It takes a huge leap of heart and faith to do this. So let me do this song, and then I'm going to read you the lyric to a song that I wrote that has that kind of similar intent. In fact, it uses the line from Rumi, the poet, who's, I don't know, 13th century or whatever, 4th century. Where he said, we will meet in the fields out beyond right and wrong. The idea that something goes beyond right and wrong in and of itself is a pretty shocking. So I'll get to that next, but let me do this. And then, yes, I'll get to more understandable stuff. This is probably heavy duty, but the other nights frequently are kind of more just comforting and caring and hanging out. This one has this quality. And it was occasion because when I heard this song, I was so totally blown away. And then we'll talk about this competition, this song, where you can write songs submit them to this competition, and in doing so, what you can do is put music to the intentions of this organization that wants to bring America together across the dividing line, that wants us to treat each other and see each other not through the lens of false stereotypes, not through the instruction of people that we have to, they're teaching us to hate and fear, like the South Pacific. No, we have to humanize ourselves, and when we sit down and listen to each other, as they do in the Greater Angels workshops, they come from highly, highly divergent points of view. They end the very people that said, I cannot talk to this kind of person, I will not talk to this kind of person. They end up hugging that kind of person, or going to a mosque with that kind of person, or going to a church with that kind of person. That's what happens. And when you see the documentary, you'll see what happens in the workshops. And when you see that, you'll say, you know something? We're not in as much trouble as I thought. There is something inside us that has not been purged from ourselves, of capacity to love one another. I'm talking about it. It's really profound. But here's this song by Jimmy Driftwood. This is the way Odetta used to sing it, and it's an allegory. And it's called He Had a Long Chain On. One night as I lay by my window, moonlight as bright as the dawn, I saw a man come a-walking. He had a long chain on. I heard his chains a-clanking. They made a mournful sound, welded around his body. Dragging along the ground, he had a long chain on. He had a long chain on. He had a long chain on. He stood beside my window. He looked at me and he said, I am so tired and hungry. Give me a bite of your bread. He didn't look like a robber. He didn't look like a thief. His voice was as soft as the moonlight, a face full of sorrow and grief. He had a long chain on. He had a long chain on. He had a long chain on. I went into my kitchen. I fetched him a bowl full of meat, a drink and a pan of cold biscuits. That's what I gave him to eat. Though he was tired and hungry, a bright light came over his face. He bowed his head in the moonlight. He said a beautiful grace. He had a long chain. He had a long chain. He had a long chain on. I got my hammer and chisel. I offered to set him free. He looked at me and said softly, I guess we had best let it be. When he had finished his supper, he thanked me again and again. Though it's been years since I've seen him, I still hear him dragging his chain. He had a long chain on. He had a long chain on. He had a long chain on. One night as I lay on my pillow, the moonlight as soft as the dawn, I saw a man come a-walking. He had a long chain. This is Tom Prasada Rao. This is he. He said, no, I do not want to be relieved of the burden of trying to go to that very special place that is so painful and hard, to encounter and deal with this evil and return redemption and love. The description of him is though he was tired and hungry, a bright light came over his face. He bowed his head in the moonlight. He said a beautiful grace. I guess we had best let it be. Don't take your hammer and chisel. Do not remove this chain. I willingly take this burden upon me. That's what Tom is doing. And if there's a little bit of that in us, to say, I am not going to take the route to adopt these positions of hatred, of dismissal. I am not going to return the rancor and the vitriol with that same thing in kind. I will say, we will find a way. If we do that, just a little bit, we'll do what better angels, now braver angels does. Everybody has the chance to become a little more their best selves. And they wind up in tears. And there is one of the women, it was in this, and I will show this documentary again tomorrow night. And I'd like you to consider tuning in and seeing all 50 minutes. I'll sing a few songs before it. There is a time when somebody says in it, I've learned certain things here. This is the first time I've cried in a couple of years. This is a Republican who was in there, very staunch, in her own way. When I say staunch Republican, I don't mean staunch and filled with anger because of what had happened to her life. As we in our society have allowed the disparity between those who have and those who have not to become ever larger, and to have an extraordinary proportion of humanity in our country living on the edge of desperation while we think it's fine for people to amass billions and billions simply by manipulating money. But that's not the fairness. In the 1960s, when Peter, Paul, and Mary came into our own and we started earning money, the last dollars that we earned, we were taxed 90%, and we never squawked. And nobody did. It was understood. There was nobody graduating from an Ivy League school saying, well, I don't think I should pay a greater percentage of taxes than somebody who earns, $30,000 and I'm earning, $2 million. Why should I? I earned it fair and square, yeah. But that's not even in the simplest way reaching out to one another. So I'm going to read you now a poem that I wrote, and it's going to take me a moment to find it. It's a song, but I wrote it in the Negev desert. I'll tell you about that. Okay, so it's okay. Here, let's see if this is functioning. I'm not sure it is. Oh yeah, it is. And then I'll read it to you. I didn't think of doing this until I kind of got in. Okay, here it is. All right. Well, here it was. Here. Oh, this.
Why do I fear you? Why do I hate you?
Why do I love you? Why? What if I were to tell you my story? What if I were to tell you my fear?
What
If I
were to
open my heart to you?
What if I were to show you
my tears?
Why did I build a wall?
Why did I build a wall to prevent you?
Loving or knowing or touching my soul. Why didn't I trust you to be real and human, to let trust and friendship and healing unfold? The blood of our fathers, the blood of our mothers, is choking our future. We drown in our past.
Drown in our past.
To cut off the chains that have bound us. Must we kill each other to be free at last? Can you forgive me?
Can I forgive you?
Can we ever stop fighting and sing the same song. Can you forgive me?
Can I forgive you?
Can
we
we meet in the field, out beyond right and wrong? Can we ever stop fighting and sing the same song? How I've abused you and denied all the suffering that I have caused you. I stand here before you, ashamed, and I implore you, let's build life anew. Bring this hate to an end, hate to an end. Find trust in our hearts to start over again. Can you forgive me?
Can I forgive you?
Can we ever stop fighting and
Sing the same song.
Can you forgive
Give me.
Can I forgive me? Can we meet in the field, out beyond right and wrong? Can we ever stop fighting and sing the same song? Why do I feel you? Why do I hate you? Why do I love you? Why?
So that was actually sung shortly after I wrote it. It was just a notation that I found on it. I wanted to find it. I thought I would get. Hang on. I thought I would put it down. I was singing it to a journalist who was there. This was done under the aegis of SEDA, Seeds of Peace, that brings Israeli Jews together with Palestinians who live in the West Bank of Palestine, and I believe also in Gaza. And they bring teenagers, and they live together in a camp up in Maine for several weeks, and they humanize each other. They're not like Republicans and Democrats. They have blood on their hands from the conflict, or sense that they're carrying the blood that was spilled by their forebears, their ancestors, their cousins. Their lives had been wrecked by this pain. And we got together. There were 40 artists, and we got together to write songs and to paint and this is a song. And I started, and I was creating it, and somebody reminded me of the Rumi lyric, meet in the fields, out beyond right and wrong. And I haven't recorded this. This is just the field recording of me doing it, but I was singing it to the journalist, and I was trying to remember, so I was just focusing on remembering the words, and I was living it, and I looked up, and the tears were streaming down her face from what she was hearing there. These are sacred moments where we're asking ourselves the kind of questions that really we're getting to that point where we need some of that, and we need people like Tom Prasada Rao who are going to talk about the kind of elevated spirituality and consciousness that brings them to a place of confronting something that inherently they despise, and yet something within them rebels against rejecting and excoriating and hating the person that did it. Hate the action, despise it, fight against the act, but do not, it's not an easy task. So now I'm going to take you to the, I will post the Better Angels, the Braver Angels. Go to the braverangels.org and you will see right there, yesterday, they started this. And, how is it that let me tell you what's, so one of the people at Braver Angels, a wonderful organizer who is there, is Sage, what is your last name? Sage what? I'm embarrassed. All right, I'll find out your last name. Hang on. Sage. It's not showing me Sage. Oh, here it is. Okay. Sage. All right, Sage Snyder. And Sage went to Yale, and then she got her advanced degrees in, I believe, at Brown. She's a beautiful violinist, fiddler. I met her at the first national gathering at what was then Better Angels, now Braver Angels. And I invited her to play, and while I was singing, and then we've had more interactions. Well, now she is leading the effort with a committee. I'm on a committee with Steve Seskin and about 6 other people to have a competition for people. It's not so much competition, it's a solicitation, people to write songs, and then the ones that are most moving and powerful are the ones that are chosen, the ones that are crafted most wonderfully, so that the message comes to you, so I called up my friend Dallas Allen. Dallas Allen was she was the associate producer of the Kerrville Folk Festival for decades with Rod Kennedy, who originated it in 1972, and I was part of that when I originated I told Rod, I was on the road, Rod, I have a way, I think, of really helping you to create this folk festival that will really be very meaningful. And it extrapolates from the idea of what we created at Newport Folk Festival to acknowledge the new talented people in the field. And in this case, it was called the New Folks Program, and people were invited to write songs, and then it was a competition just like this, and the ones that were chosen would then come together, and they find, rather than saying, I'm competing with you, that we're brothers and sisters, and then they would write songs, and they were a family. Now they've been doing that. When the first time, I don't know, we had about 60, 70 people apply and write songs, and about 15, I think, were chosen to appear, or to present in some form, and then the one that was ultimately chosen as the winner sang on the main stage. Well, through the years it changed in that we would get 300, 500, 600, 700 people submitting, and from that stage people emerged who went on to make history. And for me, what I was there to do was what I did at Newport, which is in the beginning when I was hosting it, and I would always do that for the first couple of decades. I would first talk to them and explain to them, you competed, but you're not in competition with one another. You're here because you are all. You have all won. You have won the privilege of being a part of a group of people that are going to validate the fact that you have a gift, you have talent, you will support each other, you will help each other, and that network exists throughout America now and beyond. Christopher, who was on staff at the Kerrville Folk Festival for 10 years and produced the staff concert. And the staffers were also songwriters. Well, anyhow, this person, this Dallas Allen, who is just an extraordinary human being, as well as a person of great taste and sensitivity in music, became, after Rod died, the producer of the Kerrville Folk Festival. And recently she has stepped down, but she also produces the Folk Alliance regional South by Southwest. And I told her what we were doing and what it was about. And she said, I think I've got a song for you. And she sent me the song by Tom Persado, which is exactly what this is about. Except even more, this is like the we shall overcome moment rather than we shall not be moved, the we shall come. It is saying, whatever you've done, I can still love you and we can find a way through this. This is the liturgical song for this competition. And I'd like you to spread the word far and wide, and you'll see where it is. You just go to Braver Angels. I have a lot invested in this because I feel that I've found that something extraordinary, that if people just see this 50-minute documentary, and you can go to it and view it at that website of Braver Angels, you will see something that will make your spirit 20 pounds lighter, less beleaguered, because you will see people doing in their own way what Tom Persado Rao personified in his song. Dropping their weapons, reaching out for each other, weeping, apologizing, the forgiveness. And she's saying, well, this is another Republican. Well, I know. Change starts with one person. And I know I'm going to do it. And each person, you retreat to a position of a certain kind of humility before the miracle that they're seeing, where it's no longer about me and I'm defending myself. Now let me tell you why this is going to be important. If, let us say, hypothetically, 100 million people, okay, that seems quite impossible, but it's not, with a net, it's not beyond the realm of possibility. We're to experience that workshop by vicariously seeing it. What would happen to them by virtue of seeing it if they were to say to themselves, you know something? Those people that I'm afraid of, that I can't stand to be with, that I will not talk to my mother-in-law or my uncle because they are one of those people that I cannot abide, I cannot stand them. Instead of that, they say, oh my God, there is whatever you've done, whatever you believe, whatever you're saying, we will find a way to be together and get through this. We will love each other somehow. And that's what they do. You see them transforming. But if you don't watch the 50 minutes, you can watch a little 4-minute piece, which I have, and you'll see that it happens. But if you see how it happens, you'll see these are not actors. They are not saints. They are human beings that have come to terms with the fact that they were wrong, that their opinion of others was wrong. That doesn't make them bad for doing it, it makes them subject to the gift of enlightenment. And the person who created this modality is Bill Doherty from the University of Minnesota, whose work has been in the arena of family relations and how families get along and they fight and marital relations, and that can be pretty bloody, you know. So how do you get such people to make peace? How do you get them to value and love peace and forgiveness the way the Hutus and the Tutsis did? How do you do that? Well, so that's, I spent a long time in this serious mode. Now I'm going to do something that it's just less obscure now. And this is about songs, again, of reasserting our humanity. Here's another one that I wrote. The children are listening. The children are listening. If we say something cruel and harsh, they will do the same. The children are listening. Our children are listening. If they grow up to be bullies, we'll have ourselves to blame. Miracles can happen even on the darkest day, when we fear that all is lost, that hope is gone astray. Sometimes we drop our weapons when the price we pay is too great, when the damage to the ones we love is greater than our hate. Something's greater than our hate. The damage to our lives, the ones we love. It's time to come together across the dividing line for the children who are suffering with the pain in this our time. It's not just ridicule and taunts and bullying by their peers. Grown-ups' rage and hate-filled words are ringing in their ears. Oh, the children are listening. Our children are listening. If we say something cruel and harsh, they will do the same. Our children are listening. Our children are listening. If they grow up to be bullies, we'll have ourselves to blame. Bigotry and hatred still hangs heavy in the air. They poison children's hearts and minds and leave them in despair. And in this greater angels, this bigotry and hatred, they linger. But if we defeat this demon that keeps us so far, far apart, love and true forgiveness can begin to heal our hearts. And that's what happens. If we defeat this demon that keeps us so far apart, love, and you see it happening in real time. We can defeat this enemy if we recognize its face. Let the hatred that divides us finally be erased. Let's finally stand together and with one voice loud and clear, let our songs of healing be the ones that our children hear. The children are listening. Our children are listening. If we say something cruel and harsh, they will do the same. The children are listening. Our children are listening. If they grow up to be bullies, we'll have ourselves to blame. There's no doubt that increasingly the world has grown unfair, and for some just plain survival takes more than they can bear. And that's what we were hearing in this. For some of these people, the pain for this one who said, I cried for the first time, she's been just discarded. What do you think the opiate crisis? There's no doubt that increasingly the world has grown unfair, and for some just plain survival takes more than they can bear. But if we attack each other, we play the enemy's game. And we fail to see that across the line, the suffering is much the same. And that's where the breakthrough comes through, where we say, you have done something despicable, but we have both suffered. We must embrace each other. We must build a new time. We can. There's no doubt that increasingly the world has grown unfair, and for some just plain survival takes more than they can bear. But if we attack each other, we play the enemy's game, fail to see that across the line the suffering is much the same. We can defeat this enemy if we recognize its face. Let the hatred that divides us finally be erased. Let's finally stand together in one voice, loud and clear. Let our songs of healing be the ones that children hear. The children are listening. Our children, they are listening. If we say something cruel and harsh, they'll do the same. Our children are listening. If they grow up with these words in their ears and they become bullies, we will be to blame. The children are listening. Our children are listening. If we say something kind and gentle, they will do the same. Our children are listening. Our children are listening. If they grow up with respect and love, there'll be no one to blame. And how did that song come about? This is a song. This is a song about reestablishing, repossessing our humanity, not our selfishness. It means delivering us from fear. That's what happens in the Brave Ranger. The people in those workshops are delivered from fear. They collapse these preconceptions that these are execrable human beings. These are disgusting creatures of no morality and no humanity, that they don't care about each other. They don't care about the things we care about. And then they find out we are more the same than we are different. And you know what they do? After it's over, they join arms, they join hearts, and they go out. And they work, and they go to places to further take away the division and the depolarizing, because they're campaigning for things that, maternity leave and anti-gerrymandering, and you'll see that all in this documentary. So, by the way, if you go to the invitation tonight, to either on Facebook or the one that you received by email, you will see the link to see this 50-minute documentary. And we'll show it tomorrow night, too. And so tonight is really not a sing-along night so much as it is what I announced. We were going to talk about the recapturing of our humanity and the assertion of it in song. And that's what we're doing. So I love you. I love you, Tom Prasada Rao, for who you are, what you write, what you've done, and what you live. For that presence in that room that was a sacred presence that we watched. And that will be undoubtedly one of the anthems of this song competition. It is inevitable to me. So, now, what is another one? What is another way? If we sing, if you write a song that does what Blowing in the Wind did at the March on Washington, where everybody sang it together and felt their mutual intention, and how many years can some people exist before they're allowed to be free? How many times can a man turn his head and pretend that he just does not see? And if you sing a song, and you see people singing like that together, and you feel the strength and the courage in them, not to be frightened into hating, not to be an eye for an eye and a tooth for a tooth, no. To do exactly what Tom Purcell Brown did. He wrote a song for a woman who did something that to him was inconceivable. Well, I'm going to sing Blowing in the Wind because it is a sacred song. It's a sacred song, and singing it together is one of the ways that we free ourselves from the containment of this fear and this animosity. So, and you will forgive me because I started out today with an idea of what I would do, but it was only when I started really doing it that I really found my center here. And you walked me through that, you know. But hey, I've never done these before, and it's just very, very, very moving to me to, because I'm living with the acute sense that you are watching and you're listening with that kind of sensitivity. And to me, that compels me to be worthy of your attention and of this moment and of the songs that I inherit and that I sing, that have been created annealed in the fire of the resurgence of our humanity. How many roads must a man walk down before they call him a man? How many seas must a white dove sail? How many seas must a white dove sail before she sleeps in the sand? How many times must the cannonballs fly? How many times must the cannonballs fly before they're forever banned? The answer, my friend, is blowing in the wind. The answer is blowing in the wind. Now, Bob Dylan in this song, he becomes a bit of the last of the just men. He becomes he carries the long chain because he's not writing a song and singing a song about teenage dating behavior. He's writing this song in the midst of an era where this kind of song had never become popular, and yet it took over at a certain point and became the music of our country for a couple of years. And then it continued to filter into the music of the Beatles, and a lot of that had to do with Bob Dylan and the music that he inherited from Woody Guthrie, who was his teacher. And he visited with Woody Guthrie when he had this terrible degenerative disease. But here he is, and he's not saying, let's go have a good time tonight, we're gonna have a good time. Why should I worry? Because he's saying, let's look at this. How long can this continue? How can we allow this kind of thing to continue? How many deaths will it take till we know that too many people have died? How many times can a man turn his head and lie? Say, I don't see that. I don't see. And the lie is not just a lie of fact, it is a dismissal of the human truth. No, if we look away, we are not carrying even one tiny atom of that chain. If we look at it. So let me do the second verse. This is the one that was resonated most powerfully at the March on Washington in '63 when Noel Paul Stookie, Mary Ellen Travers, and I sang it. How many years can a mountain exist before it is washed to the sea? How long can these structures exist? This is my interpretation. These structures of that say, here is your hierarchy. Here is your place in life. Here is your lot in life. You are Lord and Master, and you are nothing, and you do not deserve anything. How a mountain of inequity, inequality, before it is washed to the sea. And then it says, how many years can some people exist before they're allowed to be free? And who were those people? 250,000 people. And the song had hit its zenith at number 2 on the charts the week before, as fate would have it. So they knew it. And they were holding each other's hands, and you'll see it in the video, and singing the answer. They were not listening to us sing it alone. They were singing it to each other, and in singing these words, they were saying, we shall not be moved. We shall not be moved. We are together, like a tree standing on the water. We shall not be moved. That's what they were saying. And that's what empowered us. Yes, the words of Dr. Martin Luther King, but also the moment of people mutually saying something from the depths of their hearts. That was great and powerful. That was lifelong for Peter, Paul, and Mary. When we would have the ordinary spats that people would have, we knew when we got on that stage, we could do something of great meaning. We could be our best selves. We could love each other and cast those spurious the pettiness to the wind, because that did not matter. What mattered was that we loved each other. And we could express it musically, and people, when they saw it, felt, when they sang the song, we are part of that. They're living this. Let us share this together. And that's still what I'm doing when I'm singing in my concerts. How many years can some people exist before they're allowed to be free? How many times can a man turn his head and pretend that he just does not see? The answer, my friend, is blow it in the wind. That refrain is like the refrain, Whatever you've done, whatever, we are here. The answer is within us, even you. It's the same impulse. These songs are wed the song by Tom Prasad Ram. How many times must a man look up before he can see the sky? How long before, when we're looking at, we acknowledge, or what we're listening to, we acknowledge? How many times are we going to reject what somebody is saying because we will not hear it? That is what they do in the Braver Angels forums, in the workshops. They are compelled by their mutual agreement to follow the leadership of Bill Doherty or the other leaders, to listen and to respect. They're not looking up and say, what sky? I'm not listening to you. They listen. How many times must a man before can see the sky? How many ears must a one man have before you can hear people cry? And that is saying, we're human. We all have feet of clay. We all have done things that are perhaps unwittingly, or even intentionally cruel and unfeeling and insensitive. And we know it. But if we don't see it in ourselves, if we refuse to acknowledge it in ourselves, we do what the United States does. We suppress the awareness of the injury that we have done. And we walk around like a hit-and-run driver. Boom! Here we've hit it. It's Vietnam, Agent Orange, 3 million people killed. For what? It was a civil war. We knew that. We found out about it. Everybody knows it now. In Iraq, they have weapons of mass destruction. Let's go in. Let's start a war. There were no weapons. The Geneva Convention says we cannot torture. We cannot have, a certain kind of poison gas. We don't use poison. Oh, but United States, we tortured. Where have we acknowledged that we have done this? To clear ourselves of this history. It doesn't make us less of a country, it makes us more of a country. A great person is not a person that is unable to say, I have done wrong, I have made mistakes. I personally have made very public apology for my very painful mistakes. And if I had not, I would be carrying this lie inside me. And we do that in this country. A lot of countries do. Most countries do. Very few admit to it. It could be because there are political and economic consequences. As if you say, oh, I did this, then you're responsible for it. What have we done to our First Nations? We have committed genocide. The first thing we have to do is have truth, and then reconciliation, and then try and do what we can to mend that historical, intergenerational pain that has deprived people when it was illegal to speak their own language or practice their own spirituality. What did people come over here to do? And they came over for precisely that reason, and then made it impossible for the people who lived here. Okay, it was a different time. It is, but we're living in this time. So by the standards of what we have grown to be enlightened to do, let us acknowledge this. Germany right now is perhaps the most democratic country, one of them. What did they do after the Holocaust, after Nazism. They spent decades purging themselves of that, of not only speaking about it, but making gestures. And now, Angela Merkel, you could feel that's the moral leadership of moral authority. That, in song, we are now resurrecting and recognizing and asserting our humanity. How many deaths will it take till we know that too many people have died? The answer, my friend, whatever you've done, is blowing in the wind. We will find a place out beyond right and wrong, out beyond the ordinary constraints of saying, you did this and you did this, to say there is something sacred amongst us, and we will celebrate it and we will share it. And when we do this, even in the most clear, unphilosophical, not plumbing the depths of anything, just simply see each other as human beings, as they do in greater angels. If we could get 100 million people to live this vicariously, their fear, which is diminished, what happens when your fear is diminished and your hatred is diminished? You become more of a human being. You become less defensive. You are less likely to retreat to those spoon-fed pieces of presumed wisdom that all they are is battle cries for my side versus your side. And if we are divided, my friends, that is the root to totalitarianism, because we cannot stand together to assert what is good in us all, from whatever place we come from. So we're not only doing the right thing, we are doing the one thing that we have to begin to do, which is come together if we want to sustain a democracy. What are we doing tonight? By reassertion of our humanity, we are preserving democracy. I don't know how many people there are on this now, maybe 50 people, I don't know, I'll see. I haven't been looking at it recently, but I have to do it. It's 49 people, not bad, Peter. Okay. Some nights we have, by the end of the night we have 800-900 people coming to visit, but right now, that's who we are, and we sing, Puff the magic dragon lived by the sea, and frolicked in the autumn mist in a land called Honolulu. Puff the magic dragon lived by the sea, frolicked in the autumn mist in a land called Honolulu. A dragon lives forever, a dragon lives for ice cream, but I can't go to the store and get it, so I'm telling you, Puff, you're gonna forget it, because we're gonna have to live on love and the fumes of caring too. And that's the magic that we will preserve, and it belongs to me and to you. Puff the magic dragon lived by the sea, frolicked in the autumn mist in a land called Honolulu. What? Yes, Puff the magic dragon lived by the sea. Barbara Burton, we are as one. In a land called Honolulu. Good night, my friends. thank you for allowing me the privilege of finding my way. I feel that I did get there to say the things that were in my heart. And I know it was a torturous journey sometimes, but, and maybe, you know, it's hard to understand me sometimes myself. But I don't misunderstand my intentions. And if our intentions are clear, then you know where I'm coming from. Then we can identify with each other in our intentions. So let me call Samir and let him know that it's time. Please call Samir. Samir, my
Calling
brother.
Samir.
Can we have applause for Samir? I want everybody to applaud for Samir. Applauding for Samir. Yay, Samir. Here he is, Samir. Okay, it's time to turn it off, if you can. Okay, thank you, my brother. He's so wonderful, this guy. I have some wonderful, Tony Ranso.